I assume you are socially responsible and have watched enough television to be in a state of agitation, confusion and anxiety about the totally real and not manufactured climate crisis. Or are you one of those bigot science phobes who denies science and hates poor people and children?
We are creating this movement every day because every day of inaction drives more action from us!
I am afraid. How come why is the governments, corporations and media not listening to these suffering children's grassroots global movement?
Climate activists need to support other social movements too, because any fight for justice is your fight too. So when kids rally for gun safety or for LGBTQ+ rights, or when teachers ask for livable wages, get your butt out there and support them!
I'm mad at my parents because look at where we're at right now. Like, we're all gonna suffer if we don't start doing something now.
Wow. This is, serious. That girl shook. These poor suffering children are suffering so much and just want the bad grown-ups to be good and take #climate action now.
Hey, Amelia here, and we're bringing you a very special episode of Newsbreak all about the global climate strike. Millions of students all over the world have hit the streets.
This real global crisis requires an immediate global solution. I do not hate children. This is clearly grassroots, not astroturfed activism.
Thanks, Amelia. I'm at a rally in Adelaide and lots of students have come out to take part. And I'm speaking with one of them now. Why is this such a big issue for so many kids?
I think this is such a big issue for so many kids because our future is being decided entirely on the decisions that are being made today.
This horrific global crisis requires an immediate global solution that we obviously don't have time to question or discuss. I do not hate children. I am not a bigot.
This is an incredibly important cause, and this is an opportunity for them to stand up for their futures, and that's definitely worth missing school for.
Everybody wants us to go to school, and I want to go to school because I want to get educated. But climate change is so important that through school that I've learned that we need to actually do something. And with our power, we should all stand up and fight for what's right.
Greta says the best thing people can do is start small, because everyone has the power to make a difference.
No one is too small to have an impact and change the world, so just do everything you can.
In keeping with all things environment, let's check out some happy stories of people doing their bit to help save our planet.
I, for one, am ready to accept the solutions to this completely legitimate and not a scam worldwide existential threat. Let's check out His Royal Highness Prince Khalid bin Al-Walid's YouTube channel to see if plant-based news is covering this breaking news of the #climate crisis. Surely Klaus and the vegan movement will be taking appropriate action to face this imminent and immediate planetary threat that will surely destroy everything very soon if we don't take appropriate #climate action right now.
Than the rest of the Earth. Temperatures over parts of the Arctic will increase as much as 54 degrees Fahrenheit this month.
Our house is on fire. Our house is falling apart.
We are right now about 11 years away from that climate breakdown will become irreversible.
Wow. This is serious, and this video is already a week old. Let's see if the most recent videos have some solutions we can implement to combat this completely serious and imminent real global catastrophe.
And we will never stop fighting. We will never stop fighting for this planet and for ourselves, our futures, and for the futures of our children and grandchildren. Thank you.
3 years ago, I guess, I'm not quite sure, but 3 years ago, roundabout, you radically changed the life of your family. You managed to have your family stop eating meat, for example. How did you do that, and what did it take to convince them?
I am shaking with goosebumps right now. This brave grassroots 16-year-old human shield is on every television station in the world fighting for the solutions. I'm so glad there is a way to avert the imminent catastrophe that all the real science has proven will destroy everything if we don't take action now. If the adults don't sterilize themselves, put us on birth control, pay carbon taxes to the World Bank and IMF, move into a social engineered smart city and eat a plant-based diet of mass-produced kibble made from processed monocropped patented GMO plant foods, this poor 16-year-old human shield will not have a future.
And so on. They always had excuses, but then I made them feel so guilty.
You made them feel guilty?
Yeah, I told
Bad news for your parents.
Yeah.
What's that? You aren't convinced? What the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you stealing poor Greta's future? Why do you hate children and the planet? Why do you support murdering Bambi and Simba?
And then they decided to do those changes because I have made them feel very guilty.
Now all of them are vegan.
I'm so excited to be vegan like my heroes, Greta and Klaus. Let's check in on Bill Gates, selfless philanthropist, friend of former champion of science and fellow philanthropist Jeffrey Epstein. He must be working to help us face this real, credible death threat from the climate.
Some people don't recognize how important Nigeria is. In sub-Saharan Africa, almost a quarter of the people live in one country. I'm here with my friend, Aliko Dangote.
A lot of people, they are not really aware of the malnutrition issues that we have in Nigeria.
Malnutrition is such a gigantic problem. Part of it is just getting enough food, but another part is getting various vitamins, micronutrients.
Rejoice. Bill Gates, major shareholder in Monsanto and Beyond Meat, and his friend, the richest man in Africa, are putting extra special vitamins and minerals in the industrial plant-based GMO kibble they want to feed all of Africa and the world with. Saving the planet and not eating meat or animal foods never felt so good. If we could get more GMO corn and soy into Africa, we can stop the hashtag climate crisis.
And now whatever that we produce in Dangote Group, whatever you eat, you have micronutrients there.
Here we've got flour that's got the vitamin A in it. Here we've got salt with iodine in it.
We gathered 13 of the CEOs that produce 80% of the foods that we sell in Nigeria, and they committed to adding nutrients into whatever they are producing,
which will have a big impact on health.
What we just want is for the government regulatory agencies to make sure that, yes, it is enforced everywhere. It is enforced everywhere.
I trust in this and want the government to put nutrients in all my kibble. Equality is delicious and nutritious.
Have a huge impact on all of Africa.
I'm so relieved. Let's go back to plant-based news and find some more revolutionary vegan solutions to the truly imminent climate Armageddon. Looks like plant-based news has taken a day off from fighting the real and not made up hashtag climate crisis to make a sponsored recipe video ad for a fake vegan cheese made by a company that mass produces real cheese in the UK. Great timing. It's been nearly an hour since this newly converted starving vegan has had an unnecessary vegan snack. Nothing stokes the revolutionary fire in my vegan soul like a healthy, sustainable fake vegan cheese meal in my smart city coffin apartment. I feel so good about myself. I feel so happy and not malnourished. I am ecstatic and smiling inside. I do not want to cry.
And it's just completely dairy free, so if you are lactose intolerant, then that's, this is a great alternative for you too. So when it came, we were pretty surprised in a great way at how good and realistic it is.
It's so good, it's lovely raw, and it melts amazingly, doesn't it too? Mm-hmm. So we're going to make some really good recipes. This one I'm really excited about because it's
this recipe and lifestyle is so acceptable and is healthier for myself and the planet than real food. This is a sustainable vegan meal of fake cheese fried in Roundup fortified wheat flour and GMO vegetable oil. I do not wish this was real animal foods. I am very empowered against the hashtag climate crisis. I am not deceived. We are all one. I can become a god. I am being the best version of myself. I am being the change that I want to see in the changes that must come in these changing times to come. The animals will thank me if I get a vasectomy. The climate crisis is going to kill everything if we don't all do this. I am happy and choose this. I like making vegan recipes like the people on the screen. I am smiling large inside. My mother is the earth and my father is a closet heterosexual. We evolved from cosmic sludge. I will stop craving real animal foods eventually. I feel healthy. Veganism is desirable and easy. I would gladly pay a carbon tax to the World Bank. Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. I am saving the planet. The climate is changing, and if I don't eat this instead of real animal foods, that 16-year-old human shield won't get her future back from the abusive grown-ups. I am not deceived. I am not in denial. I am an activist. Peace Reflections.
Hello. What's up, everybody? Got Jay Dyer here. How all you bigots doing? You guys ready to fight the climate crisis? Now you can hear me, right, Jay?
Yeah.
There we go. I got climate activist Jay Dyer here. Climate activist, angelic voice. What else? I mean, e-celebrity, professional dancer.
I'd like to see that vegan man cutting the cheese. He was cutting the cheese.
With his very soft hands.
I could watch vegan men cut cheese all day long.
Well, one day you may, my friend. One day you may.
Maybe we could set up a whole live stream channel of just men cutting the vegan cheese all day.
A vegan cheese cutting ASMR.
Live stream.
ASMR live stream of vegan men.
You probably get like $1 million a day in super chats if you just had a vegan cheese cutting. Like,
it wouldn't get demonetized, that's for sure.
I mean cheese cutting in both sense, cutting the cheese in both ways.
That's right. It's going to be coming out both ends.
It would get promoted to the top of trending.
Absolutely. We got people jumping in by the minute. We're talking about transhumanism today. We're talking about veganism and transhumanism. That's a fun little intro video. That's actually edited that one months ago, man. It must have been like 6 months ago that I edited that. And it's funny how timely it is now, how prescient it is now. You had Bill Gates in there with his friend from the Dangote group, or whatever it's called, the richest man in Africa. Right? And they're going to put special nutrients in the food to make sure that everybody is getting exactly what they need. And isn't it funny how that guy said, well, we need to make sure that the governments do it everywhere. We need to make sure that the governments regulate this, and we put these special nutrients in everybody's food all over Africa. And so yeah, we got a lot of connections between veganism and transhumanism. We're going to break down some of that today. Jay Dyer, who runs Jay's Analysis, jaysanalysis.com. He has a YouTube channel, Jay's Analysis as well. E-Celeb. He has a Chatterbait account. What is it called? Vegan Cheese Cutter.
I go by Nigerian Prince on
Chatterbait.
Yeah, that's who you saw Gil Bates talking to a minute ago. One of my Nigerian Prince co-stars.
Yes. So, veganism, transhumanism. Where do we even start here? Which thread do we start
with my plan for New Balance is if we can get these numbers down, as I was telling you on the stream earlier, if we can get about 25,000 less companies in Africa that are actually putting together New Balance sneakers, and Bill Gates could have control of all of the New Balance sneakers in the world, and then I would have a monopoly, and then we could get these numbers down, and I would own everybody's Boomer sneakers.
Beautiful. Well, I hear that New Balance is actually making masks now instead of sneakers temporarily. So
I've been working on my Gil Bates.
When you do Bill Gates, you gotta have the your hands. You gotta clasp your hands like this. And you gotta bend over a little bit. You have the unassuming posture. And if we could just
get them down.
Just start flattening the curve with new vaccines and new biotech stuff. And
I like what you said, that he's gonna flatten your wife's curves.
Right. Yeah. You be flattening the curves on the diseases, but also flattening the curves on the ladies with that nutrient deficient diet that he's giving everybody.
But he's going to give those boys some curves. You could
give
them boy titties from Bill Gates.
That's right. That's right. David sends a $20 super chat. Thanks a lot, David. Much appreciated, man. You guys know these always get demonetized for some reason. It always gets the little yellow limited to no ads. It seems like 80% of the videos these days limited to no ads. We'll see how we do with this one. But thanks for the support, guys. We always appreciate the support. $20 says, I'm new to your channel. Can you explain who made that intro video about kibble and plant-based insanity with that robot voice? That's a video I made, must have been like 6 months ago. That is my love child right there. I've done quite a few edits like that. These take a while. But yeah, I made that one. It took me like a day and a half to make. And yeah, I don't know what else to explain, but thank you for the super chat, man. And we're going to talk a little bit about veganism and transhumanism. So first, I just want to say that a lot of people assume that, veganism is just a diet, right? This is just it's a way that some people eat, and maybe some of these people don't want to eat meat. What the hell's wrong with that, right? Totally agree, right? If you don't want to eat meat, that's fine, right? But veganism is not a diet. It is a philosophy. Veganism is very different from a plant-based diet. Plant-based diet, people choose not to eat meat. I think it's a mistake. I think putting your kids on that diet, especially long-term, is child abuse. And I've seen many people wreck their health doing such things to their bodies and depriving themselves of these essential nutrients that come from animal foods. But that being said, I don't care if you're going to eat a plant-based diet. You don't have to eat meat if you don't want to eat meat. What we're talking about today is the philosophy of veganism. Veganism as a movement, as a moral philosophy and a moral position. So what does this have to do with transhumanism? Let me see. I got so many links pulled up today. So much stimulus that we can look at. And I'm going to start with talking a little bit about David Pierce. David Pierce started what's called Humanity Plus. H plus. Here, let me pull this up so you guys can see it. So Jay can see the stimulus as well. Oops. Let's find that. All right, so we got David Pierce. This goofy looking guy kind of looks like he looks like if David Spade was inbred and British.
I think he needs to take some Trump come-over lessons, because that big chunk is not making any sense.
David Pierce. So we got David Pierce right here. Humanity Plus. He's a co-founder of the World Transhumanist Association, currently rebranded Humanity Plus, prominent figure in the transhumanist movement. And he approaches it from an ethical angle, which I think is really funny, right? He's actually an abolitionist. He wants to abolish, guess what? Suffering. Abolish suffering. All right, so if you guys saw my recent talk with those annoying vegans, something that kept coming up was suffering, the concept of suffering. This is something that vegans are very concerned with. They want to eliminate suffering, and this is something that they share with transhumanists. Now, David Pierce is also a vegan. David Pierce is a prominent vegan. He is, just to prove, you guys, I'm not just making this up. David Pierce is a vegan abolitionist and also an abolitionist who wants to abolish all suffering. Right? So he talks about the hedonistic, the hedonic imperative, or the hedonistic imperative, which he says is a moral obligation to work towards the abolition of suffering in all sentient life. So I know Jay's ticking away over there thinking about what the heck is this guy all about. Jay, what do you think about that? This concept of hedonistic imperative moral obligation to work towards the abolition of suffering in all sentient life. As far as a worldview, where do you think this comes from, and what do you think this guy's getting at here?
Well, he's in the Anglo tradition, so you'll notice utilitarian there, and utilitarianism is one of the British Anglo philosophies that tried to come up with things like a moral calculus. Like I can punch into my calculator the pleasure index and the universal basic pleasure income points, right? Like something from a role-playing game, like pleasure points from these different acts. And they quite literally thought they could find a moral calculus for any and every action, which is ludicrous, but nevertheless, that's a tradition that he's coming from. And you would have people in this tradition, I believe I'm correct, that some of the people in that tradition were even pioneers in being pro-pedo. So that's what you get with utilitarianism, because when we have the idea that we need to maximize pleasure, and by extension, obviously, to reduce suffering and pain, we don't have any way of knowing what exactly that means. Does that mean the biggest number, the quantity of pleasure, or is it the quality of pleasure, right? I mean, if I get a tremendous amount of pleasure from standing atop a mountain of skulls and torturing all my enemies, is that high quality of pleasure that I get from that? Does that outweigh everybody in my neighborhood getting one piece of candy? Like, how do you measure this, right? Like, what is the qualitative pleasure measure for God Emperor destroying the universe that I get a lot of pleasure from, or everybody getting one piece of candy, one dainty? There's no way to know. There's no way to measure that. So therefore, utilitarianism itself is a kind of absurd, preposterous project, but it's very good for propaganda. It's a very popular kind of thing, kind of like people throw around slogans, you know, when they try to sell a worldview or an ideology. I believe in freedom, man. I don't know about you, dude, but I believe in freedom, man. Like, who's going to not believe in freedom, right? Not me. I believe in slavery, dude, you know?
Yeah.
Who's not going to admit? And so these generic terms like, I want to reduce suffering. These kind of things are they sell, right? Yeah. They sell because people are, unfortunately, most of the time, easily taken in by slogans. And so that tradition that he's coming from is that materialist, pragmatist, Anglo annoyance sphere of philosophy that is just as the Russians classically said, perfidious Albion. Albion is Britain. Mm-hmm. That's the tradition that he comes from, and that's who gave us evolution. Right?
Yeah, it's funny because it actually sounds very similar to Dawkins in the way that,
well, Richard Dawkins is from the same tradition, right?
How interesting. So we got another super chat from Alley Cat. What's up, Alley Cat? Thanks a lot for the $19.99 super chat. Nice, generous super chat there. Much appreciated. She says, do you guys know the song Everyone's a Bigot by the OFS, or the Offs? Every time you say bigots, I think of this. Listen to it. I will have to listen to it.
Sounds like they've been listening to Tristan singing.
I know, right? Like where narcissism should have kicked in there.
Sounds like
exactly.
That's the copyright lawsuits about to go down here, but Tristan.
I'm pretty sure I invented the word bigot. I'm gonna have to check back on the internet history there. But I'm thinking of the first person ever used that word.
No, but you were using it in a specific context, and I mean some of the oligarch elite have been trying to copyright names, so why not?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna try and get royalties from that song. Thank you, Allie.
Wasn't Kendall Jenner, or not Kendall, Kylie, one of the Jenners was trying to copyright something ridiculous like the name Kylie or something like that?
No, that's funny. I never heard about that. All right, so this dude, he's also into, he outlines how drugs, technology, intracranial self-stimulation, right? So neurologically masturbating yourself with technological means, right? Masturbating your brain. Intracranial self-stimulation, designer drugs, and genetic engineering can end all suffering for, guess what? Not just human beings, guys, but all sentient life. All sentient life. So that's kind of funny. So he wants to extend it. When a lot of times you talk to these vegans, and if you want to kind of catch them in some inconsistencies, they'll call you speciesist, right? They say, oh, why would you're going to eat a dog, but you won't eat, or you'll eat a cow, but you won't eat a dog.
Yeah.
And they'll try to tell you you're a speciesist. You treat one species arbitrarily different than another species. And
Which
you can
they
say,
all do the same.
Yeah. So you could say to them, well, okay, if you're not speciesist, why is it okay for dogs to eat other animals? Why is it okay for lions to eat other animals, for wolves and other animals to eat animals, but humans cannot eat animals if you just believe we're all animals and we should all be treated the same? And they can't answer that. And if they do answer it, they'll say, well, it's because we have moral agency, right? And then, of course, these are materialist rationalists, so you can ask them, okay, from what, how do you derive morality from your worldview? And they get stuck in a loop, just like you saw 2.5 hours with those annoying vegans. And then they can spend hours editing a deceptive video trying to make it seem like you're arguing their position later on, just like those annoying vegans so deceptively did. But this guy's consistent, so he wants to extend the ending of suffering to all sentient life, right? But how is this guy how do you define suffering? How do you tell that something is suffering? How do you measure suffering in your materialist worldview? Right? What does this mean? Does this mean you're going to hook up everything to a neurocranial stimulation machine and blast them with frequencies that make them produce dopamine until they die? Does this mean that, what exactly, I don't get how he's going to do this.
Well, we'll just put everybody on heroin. Like literally
Exactly.
put all the animals on heroin too.
Yes, we can end suffering that way, right? It's great. And he even says this, intracranial self-stimulation, designer drugs, and genetic engineering. So if we just GMO everybody to produce their own opium sap in their brain, or just, Neuralink wire everybody with little tubes that will drip opium in your brain.
I could just drip Joe Rogan into my head. I won't have to smoke Joe Rogan anymore, right?
Exactly. And then we'll all be enlightened, I guess, right? But, it's funny. Of course, he also talks about fertility regulation could maintain herbivore populations at sustainable levels. He's not just talking about genetically modifying people and animals, but he's saying we have the responsibility to not only avoid cruelty to animals within human society, but to redesign the whole global ecosystem so that animals don't suffer in the wild. This is how mad this dude is. And this isn't just some random kook. This guy started the transhumanism movement. This is the dude, David Pierce. So I think that's a good introduction to kind of the idea of.
Well, he didn't start the movement, though. You mean he started like a modern political
I'm sorry.
party?
He's one of the major modern figures in the transhumanism movement, and he started the Humanity Plus, the rebranding. H Plus. So he's the co-founder of the World Transhumanist Association. So people were talking about transhumanist stuff back in the 1920s. You've got H.G. Wells was writing about this, right? Huxley was writing about this as well. Julian Huxley?
Yeah.
What,
Julian is who coined the term, Aldous' brother. I mean, it obviously plays heavily into the whole ecosystem of that group of the Royal Society of the Charles Galton Darwin, the T.H. Huxley, all that family, all that crew are really the ones who were pioneering this and thinking it up. H.G. Wells, same circles. Once you've read all their books, you kind of know where they're coming from. Darwinism is the religion here. It's the underwriting system that they worship. And as you can see, whether it's Darwin or whether it's this Pierce guy, it's the same idea that we are merely sort of biological machines that need to be improved upon, and technology can improve upon us. And since we're just machines, we're really just pleasure machines that avoid pain. We want to avoid pain. And so this is the same idea behind like big pharma pharmacology, right? That if there's pain, if there's issues, it's just chemicals, right? Everything is strictly reduced to the chemical. And then you can just alter mankind through throwing different chemicals at him. And this is ultimately alchemy. One of the key works from these elitists is Arthur Koestler's Ghost in the Machine that I covered. And what's amazing about that book, I think I've mentioned it with you before, is at the end of the book, he actually just says that we're going to pharmacologically alter mankind and experiment on mankind in a large scale, such that it will be like doing alchemy. He's like, we will be like these mad scientist alchemists commandeering evolution and growing and culturing man like he's in a test tube or a petri dish, basically.
It's just absolute madness, right? It's just it sounds so insane. And I mean, a few years ago, it would have sounded even crazier. But with all the things we see going on in the world now, it doesn't sound that far off, right? It doesn't sound that far off from where many people are trying to take us in the immediate future, right? We have, well, you've got Patrick Brown of Impossible Foods talking about wanting to end all animal agriculture, right? And he says he wants to end all the suffering caused by animal agriculture, right? So same type of philosophy that Pierce has, similar philosophy as these other transhumanists have. But you've also got guys like Bill Gates, who's heavily invested in, his whole career is based around cybernetics, computer systems, surveillance systems, biotechnology.
Well, yeah, exactly. The military-industrial complex, deep state, is the ethos from which Bill Gates emerges. And they're not different from the power structure that I was mentioning of the Royal Society and the elite in England. It's all the Anglo-American establishment. It's all that same power block, that same group. They're all allied in what they're trying to do. They've all adopted that Anglo-empiricist, atheist, Luciferian, Gnostic model of how to commandeer evolution such that mankind's development can be directed towards becoming God himself. That's really the goal here. And so ironically, you think, oh, these guys are atheists, they are materialists, they worship science, scientism. Actually, the roots of science and scientism are actually from alchemy and the occult. So they actually have a Gnostic worldview. This is why you'll see Dawkins at times kind of fudging and saying that he believes in pantheism. He believes everything's God, right? You'll have other ones saying, oh, we actually live in a simulation, right? The same elite groups, the same elite that don't believe and laugh at God, Dawkins, another example, he'll turn around and say, perhaps we were seeded by aliens, right? So aliens are somehow now rational and reasonable. But if you believe in God, that's totally crazy, right? And that's because I think at the highest level, a lot of these people have a Luciferian view. I don't know about Bill Gates himself. I would not be surprised if he wasn't a Luciferian, but I think that they think that the worldview, the gospel that they've accepted, which is a magical worldview, they may not call it magic, but like Arthur C. Clarke said, right, if sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, then you might as well call it magic, right? They think that technology will be the means by which mankind can achieve immortality, apotheosis, etc., and kind of evolve into becoming God.
Yeah. Yeah, and what's funny, you mentioned it is like a Luciferian philosophy, and it is. And when you look at the promises of, transhumanism, what is it? It's exactly what the serpent in the garden said. It's you're not going to die. You're going to
become a god. You're not going to die. We'll get rid of pain. You're going to have nothing but just roll around in a bed, and you're going to just feel orgasm cummies all day long.
Yeah,
that's sure.
Right. Well, what's his name? What was it? Storming Heaven. Storming. No, it was Leary. Same thing, Leary. Right. And yes. He talked about we're storming heaven. I think that's the quote from Timothy Leary.
Well, he's getting that from Crowley, but yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize it was a Crowley quote. But it's an absolutely it's a very pervasive philosophy now, right? And a lot of people end up falling into it and following it without even understanding what it is, not even understanding that it is a Luciferian philosophy. This desire to become God, this desire to control all of creation, to take the reins of evolution. And evolution itself is a Luciferian worldview.
Comes out of ancient Hinduism. Ironically, nothing scientific about it. Totally from an ancient pagan mystical worldview that the Brahmins and yogis foisted upon the lower caste. And you can see that if you look at that worldview, how perfectly it fits with that absurd control system known as the caste system, right? You have the unwashed, filthy masses who are told that they can't eat meat, right? You got food walking around, everybody's rolling around in filth, starving, and then you've got yogis and Brahmins, and then this upper caste, right? Yes. It's a total obvious scam. It's a mind control system, and so that's why the British loved it so much. Why they adopted wholeheartedly this demonic worldview of social Darwinism, which fits perfectly with the ancient Hindu caste pagan system.
Yeah. So we've got another article pulled up. And I've talked about this one a few times in the past, but a lot of new viewers might not have seen this one. Motherboard Tech by Vice. The next step for veganism is ditching our bodies and digitizing our minds. In the future, there will be no eating, drinking, or defecation. So the vegans out there with your Dr. Greger's Daily Dozen Bowel Movements diet, you're not going to have poo-poos in the future. Sorry, guys. I know you all love to poop. Maybe you like eating and drinking and doing other things a little bit more, but no pooping, no eating, no drinking. How are they going to achieve this? Well, he says you're going to digitize your mind. You're going to digitize your whole... We want to strip you of your stomach, your guts, and your anus and replace it all with machine parts and bionics. In the future, there will be no eating, drinking, or defecation. And this is written by a guy called Zoltan Istvan.
Yeah, he's another one of the H+ people.
Yep. So we've got Zoltan, the transhumanist candidate. He was actually running for president.
Yes.
Zoltan.
I mean,
has come from the future with a message. New Hampshire
almost
doesn't
sounds
wanna
like
hear.
a movie or like a Superman guy.
Yeah.
He's a bad guy in Superman or something.
And he calls it a social movement. He says it's a social movement. We want to use science and technology to radically transform the human body and transform the human experience. Anything from exoskeleton suits to brain implants to even driverless cars. But whatever it is, it's kind of the top 10% of the most radical technologies that are affecting the human race. So this is Zoltan. He's already been digitized. He's already fully, look at that. That's him right there. He's looking back at you. He sees you through the ether. The Zoltan, the great Zoltan.
Now, one thing that's consistent throughout the transhumanist stuff is the scammery and con artistry. Have you noticed that what they do is a lot of tricks? Like they'll make these leaps that most people don't catch. Like they'll say things like, look at how advanced computers have gotten. Doesn't it seem clear and obvious that in another 20, 30 years, computers will advance to the point that you can download your soul or your consciousness into a computer?
Mm.
Now, wait a minute. The same people that tell us that we don't have consciousness, we don't have a soul, now we're being told that it can be downloaded into a computer. Now, wait a minute. So we're not materialists anymore, or are we strict materialists? Because these things that we're talking about are not actually material. And in fact, I don't even think on their worldview, even if you were like a strict materialist, like I'm not identical to my thoughts, right? Is there no underlying subject that's having all of my thoughts? Am I just a collection of thoughts? I don't think so, because well, who is or what is the I here that's having this experience, right? Even if you said that we were just all of our brain states, we were just all of our neurons firing, it still doesn't work, because that neuron firing is not identical to what you're putting into the computer. So it makes absolutely no sense, right?
Yeah, they're gonna upload your brain. We're gonna upload your mind, man. They can't even define your mind. Like they're gonna say your mind is this collection of algorithmic patterns that fall within,
but that's not my mind.
No, exactly. They can't define consciousness, yet you're gonna upload your consciousness to the cloud, right? So there's constant snake oil sales going on.
Exactly.
And check out this one. He says, "My guess."
One last example of scam is that remember the trans billionaire that had the woman lover that they molded into a robot. Remember that? I've covered it. I don't know. I think we looked it up one time on a stream with you. Maybe it was Boiler Room. But so one of the billionaire transhumanists had her. I don't remember which direction it went. Lover molded into a robot head, and he had recorded hours and hours and hours of his lover's.
I remember this. Yeah.
Okay, and so when it was all transferred into the robot head, and the lover died of cancer or whatever, you see, he was arguing that's her, because it's her thoughts and her ideas and her voice coming out of the head, so that's her. No, that's a copy of her, right? Like
the image. If you tape record something, it's like
that's them, right?
Like Ace of Base is actually in the room with me. Ace of Base is all that she wants is another baby.
Exactly. Yes. So I have Ace of Base here with me presently. Yes.
You've uploaded Ace of Base's
you see
consciousness
me on the
onto
screen.
the.
Reach out and touch. That's actually me right there. That's me. This is how stupid. This is the level of stupidity this operates at. Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, the type of people who buy into this, I mean, it's. I mean, I guess some normal, semi-intelligent people do buy into this stuff, but I mean, the worldview that they already have, the worldview that they've built all their behaviors around it opens them up to this. It leaves them vulnerable to this
it
nonsense.
opens them up to these absurd fallacies and weird nonsense, contradictory worldviews. Because, for example, a lot of these tech elite people, they go and they blow their minds out on hallucinogens. And guess what? When you blow your mind out on, I know from experience, when you do a lot of hallucinogens, you come back with stupid ideas. Oh, dude, like I saw everything and we are everything.
You're all one,
that's a bunch
bro.
of philosophical nonsense.
I can never die, dude. We're all one, and it's just like energy just transfers, and we're all just nodes in like this one giant cosmic being, bro.
Yeah, right.
It's the same message. And that a lot of these people who start tripping balls all the time, they get really interested in this stuff, and they're easily sold on this snake oil shit.
Exactly.
Right? They
That's what I'm saying. That's why it was so obvious, but I didn't even know it. I didn't put two and two together when Melissa was talking from TrueStream was talking about all of the tech elite. When they go to Burning Man, they have their own little secret society thing where they do a bunch of hallucinogens out in the desert, and they trip out, and in their mind, they're like, tapping into, universal consciousness, man.
Yeah.
Who knows what they're being downloaded with? They're being given these literally demonic messages.
Someone in the chat, Ashley says, these dudes are freaks. I lived with one. His dream was to fly, and the idiot lost $350,000 trading someone else's Bitcoin. They think they're going to live forever. Someone else's Bitcoin. So check out this one. Here's a great example of how they sell you on all this nonsense, right? How we get energy really depends on what humans evolve into over the next 25 to 50 years. And a lot of that depends on how artificial intelligence unfolds, right? So first, you've got artificial intelligence, this construct that they've been building up, artificial intelligence is algorithms, right? These are human programmed machine functions using binary code and computing. This isn't some living being that's breathing and evolving and changing and it's going to become this super organism like an Akira. Artificial intelligence is a freaking scam. Artificial intelligence are the YouTube algorithms that look for keywords and demonetize you based on keywords. These are not living beings. These are things that are programmed.
It's gonna come alive, man. It's gonna come alive, dude.
These are things that are programmed by dudes that just spent 2 weeks tripping at Burning Man in a fuzzy pink thong, humping Elon Musk's leg in the orgy tent. Like this is what AI is, right? So it's like it says. A lot of that depends on how artificial intelligence unfolds, right? So, oh man, AI, it's like the aliens, bro, like the AI aliens or what. I already have friends planning in the next 12 months to implant chips onto their brains so they can commune telepathically with machines and with experts like scientist Ben Goertzel. Predicting a machine consciousness. Now, that's the guy that made Sophia the robot, who was given citizenship in Saudi Arabia, which we're going to get to Saudi Arabia soon, this one. This is connecting. This is why the cover image of this video has a Saudi prince in it. This connects with veganism as well. Remember, this article is about veganism. The next step is uploading your mind, right? So Ben Goertzel predicted machine consciousness is going to be here in as little as 15 to 20 years. Can you believe that, guys? The expert, Ben Goertzel. Who is Ben Goertzel? Ben Goertzel is this stoner dude that's was raised by two Brazilian lesbian women's. It was raised by these two lesbian chicks. He's this crazy, exactly what James said. Yeah, man. He's like this. He's Burning Man incarnate. He's Burning Man meets Joe Rogan, and you can even see him talking to Joe Rogan, and it's the most ridiculous conversation you've ever seen. So he predicted machine consciousness is going to be here in as little as 15 to 20 years, bro. And if you ask Ben Goertzel what consciousness is, he can't define consciousness. This is how stupid this is.
Put it in a computer.
He's going to make it. I can't define it. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to make it, bro. So, anyways, they said the uploaded mind will only need electricity, which can easily be made from wind, sun, or hydropower, not plants, animal meat, or even Red Bull. I mean, how dumb is this? Very dumb.
It's amazing the level of scammer, but people are believing this. Again, remember, it's not just all these Vice articles or whatever, or press releases from H+. Think about how much Hollywood and science fiction have programmed people to think that that's millions and millions of hours of science fiction and movies going into people's heads, making them think that, of course, it's possible. I've seen hundreds of hours of robots talking to me and coming alive, and movies going all the way back 60, 70 years. You see, this is why movies are so powerful. And H.G. Wells understood this long before there was even a Hollywood.
Yeah. And he came up with a lot of the ideas that have become kind of cultural memes in the social engineering world.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like, most of the people that write these articles, like, they don't know what the science does or the limits of science or this or that. They don't even know.
They just have faith in it, blind faith.
Yes, they have a faith-based worldview due to countless hours of movies and Star Trek and Star Wars and science fiction.
Absolutely. And so he's talking about, oh, look, CRISPR gene editing, bro. They're already DIY biohackers trying to splice plant DNA into their body so they can photosynthesize energy from the sun. So it's like, nobody's done this. Nobody's spliced plant DNA into their body and started photosynthesizing. Oh, I'm just going to, like, bake myself in the sun, dude. We'll just, like, smoke bong loads and lay in the sun and we'll freaking charge up, dude. And our boners will grow from the sunlight, bro. It's like, these people aren't actually doing this. These are just people who tripped the fuck out on acid in Silicon Valley, whose dads were tripping on acid 40 years ago. Who, these kids are tripping in the womb. And anybody who's like, I grew up in California, right? And I know you spent a lot of time in Southern California as well. Like, I went to college in Santa Cruz. I've been around the Silicon Valley kids whose parents were Silicon Valley, folks back in the day. These people are super into some of the weirdest shit you could ever imagine. Like, you got people that are giving their kids acid when they're like 5-6 years old. And this has been going on for a long time. And these are the people that are running these Silicon Valley companies. These are the people who are running these Fortune 100 companies out of Silicon Valley. They're tripped the fuck out. These people are so tripped out. These people have been they were doing DMT back in the 70s and 60s, doing all these weird designer drugs.
Philip K. Dick, great example. Philip K. Dick was in the circles of these crazies doing the drugs with them, and that's how he knew all that stuff in his crazy novels.
Yeah. Which I love reading Philip K. Dick novels, by the way. Have you read, like, he's not the greatest writer, but he's really good concepts, and he's a pretty good, like, he's a pretty good writer sometimes. Like, some of his dialogue is pretty cool, and I really liked his books. But exactly what he just said, he was tripped out because he's hanging out with these people all the time. But I mean, it's just the ideas are ridiculous. We're gonna splice plant DNA, bro, and we're gonna absorb the sun, and if we just like lay in the sun, we'll charge up and we'll live forever. It's really stupid, and they're always selling you on this like 5 steps ahead. Just believe the experts, right?
Just CRISPR make people crispy
chips. We're gonna make you little.
Have you heard of chicken? Have you heard of chicken nugget nationalism?
No, I like it though.
So the autistic kids, the autistic youths on the internet that talk about chicken nugget nationalism. If we use CRISPR and we experiment on the Spurg kids, we will literally have Spurg autist children that are crispy chicken nugget nationalists. Jamie, what do you think?
I'm down.
I thought she would agree with me on that, but
no, she shut you down.
She loves the chicken nugget nationalist Spurg kids, and we're talking about CRISPR gene editing. Then we could literally make them crispy, chicken nugget. And anyway,
what makes them spicy?
They're salty as fuck. They're salty AF.
Salty autofocus, man. All right, so we got check out this one. The Institute for Ethics and Emerging Technologies. Freud's disciple Otto Rank once wrote that the need for a truly religious ideology is inherent in human nature, and its fulfillment is basic to any kind of social life. If transhumanism is to become a universal phenomenon, it must include what Jung called a divine drama that is universally compelling. All right, so I guess it's kind of coming from that pragmatic standpoint.
They're bringing Carl Jung in?
Yeah.
This is weird.
This article proposes scientific hypotheticals regarding the future of existence that have significant theological implications which cannot be empirically confirmed. So at least they admit it. At least they admit that they're not empiricists, right? So I assume evolution to be the salient characteristic of existence. Cosmic evolution having produced ever more complex elements, which eventually evolved into life, which continued to produce ever more complex life forms until it produced self-reflective consciousness. Evolution will therefore eventually produce a supra-consciousness that will ultimately produce supra-consciousness, and so on, until a life form will have been created that will appear to us as if it were a god.
Dude, like, what if we make God and God emerges from within the system, man? It'd be like the Deus ex machina, man.
Right, so it's like not very new ideas, not very original. It's kind of like every psychonaut's musings, right?
It's every philosophy 101 guy's stoner night. Exactly.
Yes. Your philosophy teacher with earrings and long curly hair down to his. Exactly, that's my philosophy 101 teacher. Exactly that, long curly ponytail. I mean, he was kind of a chill guy, but he was
Well,
pretty...
let's note here that once again we see that this is not based on science, right? It's not based on observation. This is an interpretation of all of history and of all of mankind's, the ancient, all the way up to where we're going into the next million years of, Charles Galton Darwin. The next million years, science, really? No. It's a narrative. It's a story. They're telling you a replacement story. Science can't tell you a story because it's facts, right? If I have 20 facts, right? If I'm Rain Man and I pick up the sticks and I'm Dustin Hoffman picking up the sticks, I have a fact. I have 25 sticks. I don't have a story, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is telling a story. Mankind emerging from the primal soup, the goo. The lightning strikes the goo, and then we get the amoeba, and then this, and then all the way up through 2001: Space Odyssey, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's the Darwinian apotheosis Luciferian worldview, is what's in Kubrick's 2001. Then we get and this is where we're obviously going. We're obviously going to merge with the machines, and these are the great secrets of all the universe. None of this is science. Now there is science here because people that do computer science and engineering, they're scientists, they do science, but science can't tell you the grand narrative. It's impossible. But what these hucksters do is they mix science in with a grand narrative, and they sell you this phony package.
Yep, absolutely. No, they tell you this is this empirically derived scientific worldview, but ultimately it's very magical in its thinking. I'm trying to find. I've got some
totally magical. I mean, lightning strikes the primal goo, and
lightning crashes.
Lightning smashes primeval goo.
Oh, I feel it.
Here comes you.
I'm trying to find. I've got. Where did that? I got a whole window.
Lightning smashes primeval goo.
Goo. Oh, I feel it evolving again.
Think about this. You're nothing. You're meaningless in a vast universe of meaningless. Oh, but also we're gonna be gods.
Yeah. You're just cosmic pollen scum, evolved from a meaningless cold universe, and therefore you must save evolution from itself by killing yourself, because we're all gods and we're all one.
Can become gods because there's no meaning in the world, and nothing has any. Yeah.
Yes.
Total nonsense worldviews. Total basic level nonsense.
Yep. So we've got. So how does this all tie in, right? We've got, we talked about Sophia the robot earlier. We talked about Ben Goertzel, which I think it'd be fun to get some clips from Ben Goertzel and Joe Rogan talking, and just do an analysis on that sometime, or just go through some of that conversation, because it actually was hilarious. Did you ever watch that one, Goertzel and Rogan?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, I watched the 20-minute kind of summation. I didn't watch the whole 3 hours, but I watched the 20-minute one.
Yeah. Yeah,
we're all just matter in motion, man. You know, it's like when I do the Boomer Garcia voice, it's that dude. That dude is Boomer Garcia.
Exactly. He's the Uber boomer. The Uber
Yeah,
mensch.
you know, man. Like, I don't know about like God or whatever, but like we're gonna be God, you know.
Yeah, he said in that conversation, you know, if anyone tries to get in the way of me being God, we're gonna have a problem.
I'm gonna like create a Matrix hell and send you there, man. Because if I'm a robot god, like I can create my own virtual worlds, man, and like I'll imprison you there forever, and I'll just torture you by like tickling your feet for 1,000,000 years or whatever.
All right, so we've got on the in the cover image of this, we've got Klaus from Plant Based News, and we had Klaus from Plant Based News. We like to edit him into our videos because he's just such a hilarious character. And the reason I like to poke fun at Klaus is because Klaus's company is actually owned by this guy, Prince Khalid. Prince Khalid's KBW Ventures to increase investments in U.S. tech sector. So this is Prince Khalid, cute little Prince Khalid. He is, where did that video go? Here's Prince Khalid. Here's a look at his dad's palace. Here's a little look at some of his dad's palaces.
They care about humanity, right?
Yeah. So this guy, Prince Khalid, owns Plant Based News. Look at that stuffed lion and giraffe.
When the refugees were trying to come into Saudi Arabia, the prince actually opened up that giant golden room to all of the refugees so they could all sleep in there with him.
Yeah, so they could sleep on his stuffed rhinos that he. But he's vegan though, you guys.
He's got a rhino rug. He's got a bear rug, and the bear has gold teeth and a grill.
Look at this indoor pool.
The bear in the rug has a grill.
This dude sold this guy's yacht. That yacht right there was used in a Bond film. I forget what the Bond film it was.
It is, yeah. We looked that up.
Yes, he sold it to Donald Trump in the 80s.
Trump got it, yeah.
And then Trump sold it to Adnan Khashoggi, I think, or something like that.
Yep,
there's a
correct.
weird. So there's.
Now, so you're implying that this guy is not really working for humanity's best interests?
No, he's fighting for the animals, bro.
Oh, okay.
Look, there's one of the animals that he's memorialized after shooting.
Yeah, he's vegan, so he's got like leopard and literal dead.
He's reformed. This is from before, but now he's vegan now that
party
it's
days. Okay, so he's
repentant. Right. So you got this guy. Wait, not this guy. Oh well.
You know something that I'll throw in real quick that a lot of people don't grasp, that it occurred to me one day. Alan Watts said it, and it was just so obvious, and I was like, I can't believe I never realized that. The world is run by really, really, really good con men. We think of bad guys being like these, mass murderers, and yeah, that's true. But a lot of people overlook the fact that what if the world is literally run by super adept, awesome con men?
Yeah. I mean, even like on a theological level, what was in this fallen world, we were beckoned into the fall by a con man.
The greatest con man, the devil himself.
And they all just repeat his lies.
Yes. Oh, there's that novel. Is it Melville, or is it what's the novel where they all go on the riverboat? And is it Mark Twain? There's a novel where they all go on a riverboat, and the devil is there as the con man tempting everybody on the riverboat, the gambling river. It's a really famous.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think
somebody in the chat will know whether it's Faulkner or Herman Melville, but that's the point of that novel, is that the devil is like the greatest con man.
Sounds about right. So you got the I'm trying to find Plant Based News owner Prince Khalid. This is him. He owns Plant Based News, and there used to be an article talking about the owner and how he was the CEO and owner of Plant Based News, but they've removed it, since I used to always bring it up and make fun of them for openly admitting that one of the richest men in the world, Saudi prince, owns Plant Based News. But this is his father is let's find his father. Where's his father? Prince bin Al-Walid bin Talal. That's his. Where did it go? Anyways, all right. So you've got KBW Ventures. This guy invests heavily in Silicon Valley. Is invested in cell-based fish culture development. He wants to have fake fish, lab-grown fish, and that's what he's working towards. Prince Khalid. Saudi Sports Federation promotes healthy homebound living. This is a recent one, right? With the recent coronavirus outbreak, social distancing is no longer an option, but a necessity. So he's going to help you with his Saudi Sports for All Federation. So, you know, he's getting in on all the modern trends, right? Veganism, house arrest, and here he is talking with Bloomberg about his venture capital firm that he runs out of Silicon Valley, out of San Francisco, and investing in all this stuff. His father is a big owner of Twitter. His father owns like, I think it's 4% or 3% of Twitter. And I had another article pulled up, but I can't find it right now. Anyways, plant-based investments get GCC boost from KBW Ventures founder Prince Khalid bin Al-Walid. So this is the guy who runs plant-based news, who Klaus speaks on behalf of. And he's heavily invested in all this fake agriculture stuff, this fake meat stuff, and all of this.
They also, you notice they promote the buzzwords, plant-based, 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 plant-based. And then now you see this on Instagram and everybody's in their title. Plant-based, organic, plant-based Christian, plant-based evangelical, all this nonsense.
Yep. The son of Saudi Arabia's Warren Buffett sees a big future for Beyond Meat and plant-based food. So this guy's dad, Prince bin Al-Walid bin Talal, is the dad. And he's one of the richest men in the world. Right? Very, very rich guy. He was actually arrested during that weird Saudi incident a couple years ago where a bunch of Saudi royalty got kind of locked down for a little bit. I don't know what was really going on there, but his ex-wife, this princess, accused him of human trafficking, which I'm sure, you know, Saudis have nothing to do with any of that kind of stuff. But, you know, this guy that's involved in a lot of strange stuff and big into things like Beyond Meat, plant-based foods, and running cheap little YouTube channels for sock puppets like Klaus. All right, so this guy heavily invested in the fourth industrial revolution, heavily invested in automation, heavily invested in all these Silicon Valley startups, also super into plant-based diet, promoting a plant-based diet. Right? So ideologically, we've got a lot of ties. We've also got a lot of ties with the big money, promoting and producing these plant-based foods. Bill Gates, one of the early investors in Beyond Meat. So very, very easy to demonstrate the links between technology, technocracy, and transhumanism and veganism. So where did I had some better links pulled up. I can't find them now.
Yeah, well, as we were talking about, I mean, controlling diet is something that the elite have done for a long time. You know, we went all the way back to Plato with that, but Plato said to feed the workers grain, don't let them eat meat because they would get too smart and they would rebel. And so what we're seeing here is it's what the UN talked about a long time ago with the rise of a new form of feudalism, where you'll have this class of people that will be like the managerial bureaucrat CEO types, technocrat types, and they will be above the law in many ways, much how royalty have been or elites have been. And then the rest of the public will be kind of probably, my guess would be like you'll have access badges or something, or like scanners that allow you in, like you can go to this part of the city, but you have to stay in that part of the city because you're limited in terms of your mobility and your class. That's the interesting thing, is that it's a rigid class structure, just like in Brave New World, where you have the alphas all the way down to the omegas. And each one of these classes even has their own kind of limited amount of propaganda that brainwashes them. So the people that are alphas don't even know like what the inner party elite know. They just think that they kind of run things, right? So that would be like your CEO, like Wall Street class of individual, you could say. But anyway, point being is just that, yeah, like the what you're getting at with these people is that they will be the bureaucratic feudal class above everyone else, and they'll have some kind of special access, to the big smart grid city, or they can leave the smart city if it's a giant prison where you can't, right? They have access to leave. You can't leave because you're a green tier person. You're not a red tier person or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have you ever seen that movie Code 46 with Tim Robbins?
No, I've never heard of it. Is it worth watching?
It is worth watching. It's a little slow and boring, but it's exactly what we're talking about. It's giant future smart cities. All the poor people are like banished. They have to live in the slums outside the city, and the city is this like immaculate, perfect smart grid, and you can only get in based on your DNA.
The Gattaca. Well, I mean, when you look at what's being set up right now with the UN, the WHO, Bill Gates, and all these proposed, we need to test everybody. The WHO was saying yesterday we have to find a way to test everybody and go home to home and test everybody and find the people who we need to isolate. And then, they're going to eventually push for continuous DNA testing, continuous testing of everybody. And of course, they expect everybody to just trust it, but they want to test your DNA constantly and set up loopholes to where, well, not loopholes, but set up hoops for you to jump through if you want to be able to travel, if you want to be able to purchase things, if you want to be able to do anything.
That's what we're seeing right now is the beginning stages of implementing this through all of this Karunka nonsense.
What was the film called again that you were just talking about?
Called Code 46 with Samantha Morton and Tim Robbins. I think it came out in 2001, somewhere in there. But it's all about smart cities. It's all about the future being based on genetics, biometrics, and again, like all the poor people are sequestered outside this giant smart city. You only get access to certain areas based on your DNA.
I got a super chat here from Bilderberg. Bilderberg says science with an exclamation point. Says $2. Thanks a lot, man. If you guys got any more super chats you want us to hit on, if you got any questions for Jay or myself, feel free to send them super chats. We've got kind of a quiet chat today. I think, I don't know. I think my channel's kind of on a naughty list lately. I don't know if people are even getting notified of these.
You are, because you're talking about dwarf tossing.
You can't talk about the dwarf tossing, man. That's the secret of success. These people know if you start getting your hands on enough dwarves to toss, you're going to climb the ladder of the intellectual elite.
How do we know how this guy made all of his money?
No.
Do we remember? I don't remember how.
It's mysterious. Yeah, it's very mysterious. He was involved with Khashoggi, I think, at times. He's been accused of all sorts of sketchy stuff. And he's been accused of hiding much of his wealth, too. So a lot of his wealth is not, we don't really know how wealthy he even is.
But he and Richard Branson and all of these great people are going to tell us why we need to be vegan, right?
Yes.
We're going to listen to them about how we need to eat and how we need to live.
Our lifestyles, they're not sustainable, bro. They're not sustainable, right? I mean, this guy, he invested in Apple, apparently, just before Steve Jobs turned it around. He's the second largest shareholder in News Corporation. Owns a big stake in Time Warner, but this is 2012 that this article was written, so I'm sure his portfolio has changed. $300 million stake in Twitter back in, was this 2012? Yes, 2012, he bought in on Twitter. So the guy's, he's just so smart that he knows what to buy.
Or he knows, or people on the inside who are connected to which of these deep state entities is going to be favored, right? He gets tipped off.
No, definitely not, because after September 1/1 in the year after 2000, Ali donated $10 million to the city's relief, but then Mayor Rudy Giuliani returned the gift after Ali said in a press release that the U.S. might want to reconsider its stance on Palestine. And he was given a tour of New York soon after that day by Rudy Giuliani, so he's not involved in anything sketchy. I got a $10 Palmer Elric. There you go, Palmer Elric. Is that a Philip K. Dick fan there? Palmer Eldritch. That was the Three Stigmata of Palmer Eldritch was a Philip K. Dick novel. Says just trying to show support. Thanks for the quality content. Thanks a lot, man. We do appreciate that. The support helps because these are getting demonetized. So throw them super chats out, guys. Support good producers like Jay over there, Jay's Analysis. Find him on Chatterbait. What is it on Chatterbait again? Nigerian Prince on Chatterbait. But then
or you can look up Odongo. That's my other Nigerian Prince name.
Nice.
On Chatterbait.
Odongo. All right, so
Barack Odongo.
I like that. Well, let's talk about the World Economic Forum. So the World Economic Forum, this is something that a lot of people aren't too aware of who the World Economic Forum is.
Davos. We've been covering Davos for a while now. This is another one of these elite confabs. It's a little more public than Bilderberg has been. They're more open. But you'll find a lot of the exact same people and a lot of the exact same stuff going on at Davos, which is just more of these global elite confabs where everybody gets together and gives each other awards and talks about how awesome they are. And one year they crowned Kevin Spacey king of Davos.
Kevin Spacey? Well, Kevin Spacey just like a stand-up guy, right? Why would he be king of Davos? He's an actor.
I mean, why would Leo DiCaprio show up and be lauded at Davos? You tell me.
I know, right? I guess I don't know. He works hard, man. He's got
Davos seems to be like the liberal outer shell of the inner core. So like the elite that are interested in publicity and the $100 million level elite. That's like Davos. That's not like you can go higher up in the pyramid, but there's high level pyramid people who will go to Davos as well.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It's kind of like mid-range,
exactly.
Figurehead type people. So yeah, you got Ida Auken. She wrote this article. We talked about this a couple streams back. Welcome to 2030. I own nothing, have no privacy, and life has never been better. This is from the World Economic Forum.
I haven't seen this article, but wow, that's telling.
You haven't seen this? This is 2016. She wrote this, and it basically is a advertisement for the smart cities.
Yes. So to prepare all of those Gen Z, the Zoomers, for living with no possessions.
Yep. And everything is a service-based economy. Exactly. And they're talking about words. The circular economy, you're going to be seeing this more and more as this kind of economic collapse controlled demolition of the economy continues to happen. You're going to see a lot of words like, what else? We've got the circular economy.
What is the circular economy?
It's basically, it's like everything is recycled. You own nothing. Corporations own everything, and like your iPhone gets rented to you basically because you don't need to own it. Like, why do I need to own an iPhone? Why do I need to own a car? I just want to use it, she says. And she's done there was a few talks that she's done, which we could even like a future without waste. This is one of them right
communism.
Here. Exactly. Which is, what do you see right now? What do you see getting rolled out right now? The idea of universal basic income, Amazon taking.
Man, don't you follow Jesus, man? Like Jesus wasn't into possessions and all that, man. That's just like your capitalist crap, like the capitalists invented the you own possessions or whatever. Like Jesus, dude, he just gave everything away, dude. Right?
Exactly. Yes. I mean, if you want to really help people out, then you're gonna eat the rationed kibble, right? You're gonna listen to Ida Auken. Here, let's take a listen to. Let's see what Ida Auken's got to say here.
And I'm very pleased to be invited. No, what I want to tell you is that in 2050 we don't even have waste anymore. There will be no waste in 2050. Everything will be seen as a treasure because we will have created what some smart people call a circular economy. And I will take you through 4 steps of the circular economy. I will tell you what it is, why it is happening right now, how it's going to be brought forward, and who's going to do it. So that's the 4 things I'm going to take you through. First of all, what is a circular economy? The circular economy is, in a way, the opposite economy of the one we have today. Today we have very much a linear economy. We take something, we take some materials, we mine them, we take them out of the ground, we cut some trees down or something, we use them for a little while, and then we turn them into trash. That's where it ends, the line. And that is sort of a take, make, waste economy. But the circular economy is actually taking something, and already when you design it, before you take it into use, you think about its next life. So you actually design for reuse. So all materials will be circulating, and this actually eliminates waste. Do we know this?
I mean, does this sound realistic to anybody? There'll be no waste, zero waste. Right? I mean, it's such a pipe dream, the way they try and sell this stuff. I mean, she goes on for like 18 minutes, but she talks about, why do I need to own a drill? I just want a man to come to my house and drill something into the wall and get rid of it and get a dirty man out of my house. Why do I want to own a car? I just want to ride. I don't need to own my phone. I don't need to own anything. I just want my things delivered. And eventually the AI will be able to tell exactly what I want before I even want it. And it will give it to me before I even know I want it, because it will predict my behavior. So she's selling you on this behaviorist cybernetic control grid as a way of saving the planet and as a way of, being super green.
It's amazing how these people think that these idealistic systems are going to work, that you can implement this perfectly rational system into the world, and that it will work this way because we will force it to work this way. Now, I don't think that communism is what is behind everything. It is worth looking at the communist systems, though, because they had this same fallacy of thinking that you can instantiate a perfectly rational system. And in fact, when Plato said this long ago, he said that the ideal republic is the system where the elite go and learn mathematics. And I think he says something like 20 years. You study mathematics and geometry. He says, and then you take those pure, perfect mathematical forms and you basically try to imprint that upon the ideal city-state. So that's what technocracy is, basically a mathematical quantification system, an algorithm smushed into the world, which again is based on materialism, based on the idea of, in these people's minds, they're not Platonists, they don't care about Plato, but unless they're like at the very, very tip top, they base it on Plato. But at her level, she doesn't know anything about Plato. But so they think that they can just give everybody money. Why doesn't a global central bank give everybody credits? Like, why wouldn't that work, right? It's literally that low IQ, as if that's all that's needed to make things run and work. Like as if you don't need incentive, as if people don't have to have, a worldview by which they can make proper decisions, right? Well, they actually say we want to remove decision making. You won't have decisions, right? I think wasn't Bernie Sanders saying the other day there's too many choices?
Yeah, we said that years ago. Like, why do we need 100 different brands of shoes? All we need is one type of shoe, and everybody can wear the same shoes.
Yeah, but this is not reality. It doesn't work. It only works in the minds of really weird radicals that think that you can put an idealistic system into place, and all it does is result in mass death and chaos and collapse. Sometimes they want this, but a lot of these people, they actually believe that they're going to have an AI system that's going to run everything perfectly. It's going to be a utopia of Star Trek. It's not going to be Star Trek. And by the way, H.G. Wells even wrote in his books, he even tells the people that he's writing to, he says, this is not for you. He says, I'm going to give you a myth and a story that you can participate in, and it will help you to contribute to being great. He says, but it's not for you. He says, you're going to die, but at least I'll give you something to die for, namely our future Star Trek utopia. That's what he says. It's kind of amazing that he says this. He's like, look, I'm sorry it's not for you. You're going to die, but if you die for us, you'll die for something great. We will build that system.
So I'm kind of pulling up a bunch of links here about the circular economy, and these are all within the last week or last 2 days.
Oh, wow.
After the crisis, let's use technology to move towards a circular economy.
There we go. So we had the crisis, problem, reaction, solution, right?
Yeah.
What's David Icke's always saying? Problem, reaction, solution. The cheetah Uri, they cause the problem, mate, and then they offer the solution, mate.
Astrid Wynn, tech buyer. So she's a sustainability lead at Tech Buyer. So these people are loving this so-called crisis. They're loving the controlled demolition of the current economic system because they've been trying to bring in this new economic system. They tried to sell it to us before. People weren't buying it. People didn't want to have a sharing economy. People didn't want to share their wives and their iPhones. Well, you see why we can't have nice things? Look at the world now. It's all because of you naughty people. You won't listen to your house arrest.
Yes, this is only for the bottom of the pyramid. Right?
Yeah, no, not for Madonna. Madonna doesn't get this shit. Madonna gets to invest in. She just announced today on Twitter that she's investing in the Bill Gates race for the cure. Finnish cities collaborate on circular economy operating model. This is from 2nd April. This is from a day or two ago. So Finland is on board. Scandinavian countries are on board. They always seem first with all this implementation of this new green stuff and.
Well, they're super mega cocked, so yeah.
Yep. So you got look at this: IoT, big data, blockchain, AI.
They're trans-Kukianists in those Nordic places.
And see, I think a lot of people are starting to realize now what I've been saying for years is all this blockchain stuff, all this crypto stuff. Whereas, I'm not saying like owning Bitcoin is so bad or anything like that, but look,
you're just jealous of Robert
in.
Taylor, dog. You're jealous of Robert Taylor because you didn't get them zillion Bitcoins.
Should have bought 1 million Bitcoins when it was 2 cents. So
you'd be hanging out with Gil Bates right now. You'd be lacing up his New Balance right now if you'd have done that.
Right, we'd be snorting the cure right now with Bill Gates.
You'd be snorting coke right off of his New Balance right now.
That's the cure, man. Snorting coke off of the New Balance. I mean, if you so IoT, big data, blockchain, AI, right? So blockchain, this stuff is going to be pushed really hard. They're going to be telling you, we're going to use this blockchain data collection, and we're going to use 5G technology to make sure that there's nobody who's infected near you. There's nobody who's got, negative social credit scores and maybe saying naughty words on the internet or, haven't been following the protocol and proper social. Maybe they had too many cummies. Maybe they were too close to their spouse at night, and they're going to use this stuff for tracking and tracing human movement, for influencing human behavior, and they're talking about greenhouse gas reduction. We've got to lower the greenhouse gas. A tiny sliver of silver in the COV in the COVID-19 lockdowns has been that levels of greenhouse gases, CO2, methane, carbon monoxide, and nitrogen dioxide emitted by traffic and industry have fallen dramatically as people have stayed put. So they're selling you on the idea that your house arrest, that global house arrest, that global shutdown of everybody's movement, that locking you all away is good for the earth. This is perfect. The earth is going to heal during this crisis. And what's going to happen next? Circular economy implementation. All right, look at that. The snake swallowing its tail. Yep. Beautiful occult symbol.
That's
there.
Also from Plato. The Ouroboros is Plato's vision of how the universe is actually constructed.
Yeah, and then all these Freemasons really like it too. Like Manly P. Hall's he's got a little chapter on the Ouroboros in his silly book.
Well, you're part of nature, bro. Like you die and the parasites eat you. You go back into nature, and then you regurgitate when you're reincarnated.
Yeah, right? That's true. Is that
maybe you'll come back as a Nigerian prince,
or a virus like Prince Philip.
Prince Tristan Odongo.
Tristan. We got some super chats, Jay. We're going to read these super chats. We got Cholo Mexicano sends $2. Can I have a robot war donkey in the future? I don't know, man. Yes. Hey, Jay, don't be so fast. If you send a $20 super chat, then yes. Sure. But for that $2 super chat, maybe.
No, not for $2. No.
Maybe. But if you send a $100 super chat, you can have a robot war Donkey Kong in the future. Lawrence Balanag sends $5, says thanks for your work. Thank you, man. Really appreciate it. We're doing it for you guys. We do it for you guys. The super chats help because these get demonetized, and every little bit helps. So, have either of you read Homo Deus by Yuval Noah Harari? I've read sections of his other book, not Homo Deus. What was his other book? I don't know.
Don't know about that one.
You don't know who Harari is?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, he's a.
I only read Nigerian prince literature, the highest levels of.
He's a Israeli. He's a gay guy from Israel who wrote Homo Deus, and it's basically about the history. It's Darwinism, transhumanism. It's like we're going to become gods. We used to be pond scum, and then we became monkeys, and now we're humans, and pretty soon we're going to become gods. Homo Deus. All right. Maybe I should read it. I'm not going to give him money. Maybe if there's a PDF or something, I could read it. Michael Tooch sending those Canadian dollars. Thank you, sir. Is gold, paper fiat money, what carnivore is to veganism? Which paper fiat money will survive this economic devastation? Curious to hear your thoughts. Great content. All right, so which paper fiat money is going to survive this economic devastation? And is gold to paper fiat money what carnivore is to veganism? I mean, like, you sure gold is valuable if you're able to trade it, right?
You need to have paper. You need to have Nigerian currency stacked up, and you need to have the Nigerian backed crypto.
Yeah.
That's what because that's the future is Nigeria.
I mean, I'd rather. I mean, as far as like assets go, I'm all about like you being able to produce your own food and land. Like that's, to me, that's what I would feel is a better asset. But that's just a personal thing. There's not like we're not going to get salvation in any of these assets, right? Like these things aren't going to. Even if you own land on paper, even if you own a bunch of animals, it's like.
I mean, yeah, even if you have that, you can lose it. So.
You can lose it quickly, and there could be a
Tuscan Raiders. There could be Tuscan Raiders.
Tuscan Raiders, or just maybe the next phase of the lockdowns would have to have some redistribution of assets. And
the drones come and spray Tristan with the gay juice. Remember the gay bomb that they were developing during the Saudi Arabia, the Iraq War?
Yeah. They ever make one of those?
They could just send a drone to spray you with gay juice, dude. Then you're done for.
Then I'll be reading Homo Deus by Yuval Harari in my pink fluffy thong in the under the blotted out sun.
You'll be humping Elon Musk's leg in a purple thong.
Dry humping Elon Musk's leg furiously in a purple thong. Saying you're welcome
in space, in his spaceship.
in that Tesla X thing in space, and while singing Creed. Can you take me home? Bada bing, bada boom, we're out of here. All right. Next question: what paper fiat money is going to survive the economic devastation? I don't know, like it kind of looked like the dollar was looking strong, I guess, but I don't really follow this stuff that much. You're gonna have to talk to some of these libertarians if you want to learn about that stuff. I mean, it seems like the dollar is kind of dominant to me, but it seems like the digital currency is where this is going. Maybe quickly, hopefully not so quickly.
They're pushing that for sure. Some kind of e-cash, yeah.
They want you to have them e-dollars. So you got. Who was it that announced a crypto? Well, the Fed just announced
Bill Gates. Microsoft just patented one.
Nice. So there you go. You can get your Microsoft crypto coins when you get your.
I guess Facebook Libra, was that a fail? Did that not work? Remember
no
that?
one wants that shit. They'll have to force a lot of these things on people, right?
Yeah, they're gonna have to force it. Good point.
They'll have to crash cash, you already had China saying that you shouldn't use cash because it's gonna spread the illness. You're gonna get the sickness. Right. Give up your cash so we get down with the sickness. Okay, not a question, but the like/dislike ratio on Ida's video is very telling of how her ideas are received. LOL. Anyways, thanks for all the content y'all have been putting out. God bless. Thank you, the real Cooter Brown. I love the name. Sends $10. Nice, generous super chat. Much appreciated. Let's go look at the like/dislike ratio on lovely Miss Auda's Ida Auken. 132 dislikes, 45 likes. I feel like, and not to toot my own horn, when I first started showing people this video, very few people had seen it. And I think maybe TruthStream, I think Melissa and Aaron might have talked about this video before as well. So most of the audience that have even seen this video might be folks like you and me. And maybe even people like Jay, but hopefully not, because he's kind of weird. David sends $20, says, let me see. Can you tell us how easy it is to move to Ecuador and buy a piece of land and raise animals? Can you provide consultation if my family decided to move there? We might need to leave California because of forced vax.
Can I move into the house with you? Can we put a compound together? Can we stockpile weapons underneath your compound?
Let me just, I'll send you like...
Can we start a cult together? Can I share your wife?
I'm going to send you screenshots of my bank account, my social security number, my tax returns for the last few years. And now, you know, as far as like financial consultations and stuff, man, like we ain't rich, man. We saved up money. We worked really hard to get to where we're at. As far as like living in Ecuador, right now, it's not the greatest place to live. We're cool where we're at for the time being, but like, let me give you a little taste of Ecuador right now. Today, I just got a message in a WhatsApp group informing me of the new augmented reality of driving in Ecuador, which used to be you could drive anywhere you want, whenever you want. And then a few weeks ago when the lockdown started, it was you can drive every other day. Like if you have an odd license plate, you can drive on these days. You have an even license plate, you can drive on these days. Then it became you can drive 2 days a week. So I was able to drive on certain days due to my license plate number. Now we're allowed to drive a vehicle 1 day per week to go
Tristan,
into town.
Start a cult and let everybody from your YouTube channel move in with you in a compound.
Dude, sounds amazing, right? Doesn't always work out. Doesn't always work out. Well, yes, Spherage tried to do stuff like that, except it seems like he got sick of his cult followers and he just started having them send him his blood so he could drink their menstrual blood. Nature Boy. Yeah, I mean, even Durian Rider did that stuff for a while. But, you know, I mean, like David, you can, if you have like a wife or something, you can send her down. She can join the cult. But, you know, the way it usually works out with these cults is the women get to stay. And the men just get, they have to like, they get pushed to the side while the cult leader.
Bro, it's not working out. It's not working out, bro.
And you guys all have to be celibate, but the cult leader on the down low bangs everybody's wife. That's how those things work out. And, yeah. So anyways, man, like if you want to talk about certain things, like you can hit us up on our membership site. You know, it's, if you sign up for a year, you get better price. And if you sign up month for month, we do weekly coaching call, or every other week we do coaching calls usually. And, this month we're doing more. So, if you guys do have questions about stuff, but I'm not gonna like, you know, give you like life advice. Like I'm not gonna tell you like what you should do with your life and where you should move your family.
Why aren't you life coaching? You would be a great life coach. Get a whistle and get some exercise gear and be a life coach.
Yeah, I mean, that's only the cult members who come and give complete allegiance. You know, you have to. They got to jump through some hoops to get there. But yeah, you know, if you want to talk about stuff like that, I'm not gonna tell you exactly what you should do with your life and your finances, man. That's too much responsibility for me. And you gotta go check out wherever you want to live. Go check it out for like 6 months before you decide to move there, right? So don't just up and move somewhere without having visited. Go visit some different places where you're thinking about living, and see if you like it. 6 months, and yeah, that's my advice there. So thanks for the super chat, dude. The forced vax stuff that you're worried about, that's gonna it's probably gonna come to a lot of different places, and you might be surprised at how easily it is to roll out some of these agendas when people are all freaked out.
Would it be all right if I checked out here in a little bit?
Yeah, I'm gonna check out too. I think that's the end of the super chats. Yep. All right, so it's almost 9:30. Where can you guys find, or where can these crazy people in the audience find more of you, Mr. J. Dyer?
Nigerian Dong over at Chatterbait. Just type in Nigerian Dong, you'll see me there. Send me all your Bitcoins
and your wives and your send your
wives and your Bitcoins. Right, I'm at Jay's Analysis. I'm also at Jay Dyer on YouTube, so please subscribe there. We're almost at 50K, so we're going to have the 50,000 party. I'm going to try to get you and our circle of initiates, Aaron and Melissa and Hesher Spore, and our bros and BFFs when we hit that 50K. So come to the party, because we're all going to be in quarantine for the rest of our lives. So what else is there to do but do live streams forever? As Jacques Attali said, we'll just live stream everything for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. That's right, guys. All right, so if you guys got any more super chats, guys got any more questions, or if you just want to support, hit me up with them super chats. What else? Any more announcements from me? I don't think so.
Well, everybody can also check out the stream that you and I did, part 2. We just did a stream today. Everybody check out Boiler Room. You know, Truth Stream Media.
That's right. We did a really good episode of on Jay's channel yesterday, and the members only one, the adult content second hour with Nigerian Dong, and
Frank Trufano, everybody.
Frank Trufano was there.
All your favorite friends from
Chatterbait.
Yeah. All
Broke, Dark, and Handsome. Yep. So, you can check that one out. The second hour is really good. It's fire. So check the second hour out on jaysanalysis.com. Become a member of Jay's site. Well worth it. Treasure trove of information about philosophy.
Also get, if you join, you get the daily update of me in my yoga pants and my thick booty. You get a yoga pants shot for OnlyFans when you join my site.
That's right. That's right. And if you become a member, primaledgehealth.com/membership down below. You also get all sorts of blackmail material that I have compiled about Jay. So if you, so I've got loads of Jay Dyer blackmail material. If you want that, you get it free as a bonus when you sign up, primaledgehealth.com/membership.
I want that to come out because all publicity is good publicity. By the way, please subscribe. Help me get to 50K.
There you go. Sub to Jay. I'll put a link to Jay Dyer's YouTube channel down below.
Thanks,
and
man.
make sure to share this video, like, subscribe, and support good independent content producers like Jay, like Aaron and Melissa at True Stream Media. And that's it, guys. Veganism, transhumanism, digi-kibble, rations for the masses. This is what these people want to push on us, but we don't have to go down that route. I think there are other ways, and if we do form real communities and we do focus on things like homesteading, focus on things like local food production, focus on supporting your local food producers, local regenerative, truly regenerative agriculture, we can kind of avoid this at least for a little bit and build real communities. So enjoy your house arrest, everybody. See you next time.